I crashed like right into a wall, and at that point I already had given up for a month. We got scammed, and that's also the moment when we were like, okay, if it doesn't get approved now, we are literally back to zero.
So much trenches, and we also started thinking like, will we ever get back from this? Right?
Never when we started with Ecom we ever thought about 100K in a day.
Like our first goal was maybe 500 in a day, then 1K, then 5K.
And in December again, we did crazy numbers, like we did 1.5 million a month.
It's all part of the risk assessment now, and building multiple companies will be our main goal of 2026.
Right, here we are back in Monaco after a crazy 2025, I could say. It was honestly a roller coaster for both of us, not only business-wise, but also we saw a lot of personal growth and everything that comes with that. So we decided to do a little sit down. We're currently here at actually where we also did recordings last time we were in Monaco, pretty chill spot, having a drink and just talking a bit about how the whole journey was in 2025, what we learned, what we did, and what we're going to change for 2026, because currently it's the middle of January. We already did many changes to our business and ourselves, but yeah, time to break down 2025, and hopefully you guys can also learn something from it. And yeah, like, you know, as we like to share our journey, so to inspire, but also to motivate others. So let's get started.
Yeah, I think we might even need to go a little bit before 2025, where it all started, because we've not told this story too many times before, but we get the question a lot as well from, where did you guys meet and how did you know you were a right fit, and should you advise me to have a business partner, things like this, right? And actually both of us just didn't know, like we just went with the flow. And yeah, we met, actually we're from the same small village in Belgium. We went to the same school, but Bryan is 1 year older than me, so I know who he was, I think you knew who I was, but we didn't really talk. Like one day I was scrolling on Instagram and I was already doing or trying a lot of side hustles. I was starting an Ecom brand, things like this. And I saw Bryan was pretty often in Monaco. I saw that on his stories. So I was like, yeah, why don't I shoot this guy a DM, since we're from the same village? Maybe he'll respond, and like, I would love to know like what Bryan is doing different than I was doing back then, because obviously I was still struggling a lot, trying to find my way, like the way that is not meant to be the 9 to 5 you are getting after the university, right? Because that's where I was at that moment. And yeah, I shot you the message. What did you think when I shot you the message?
It was very random because, I mean, obviously, like you said, I knew you already from seeing you. But yeah, obviously, like, I saw the message, and it was actually, like, I was in Monaco back then, and I was planning to go to Belgium, I think, 1 month later for, I think, the summer vacation or something. And you asked me to meet up, and I knew you also were into some entrepreneurial stuff, because one time we were talking about like, we already had like a little conversation before where you wanted to start I think it was like a car cleaning company, and you needed a website.
Detailing,
Because back in the days I had an agency, I was designing websites for small KMOs, like we call them in Belgium. So yeah, I was in Monaco, I had a few clients there, but I was also managing clients in Belgium. And you shoot me a DM asking to meet up. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to be in Belgium anyways. And our village is so small that there is nothing to do in the nuts. So I was like, you know what, I haven't drank Belgian beer for almost 6 months. It'd be nice if I go to a cafe, talk with this guy who I barely knew back then, and have some beers, you know. So we went there, we met up. And honestly, it was really smooth. Like we were talking about business, and then I told you, yo, I did a course in Ecommerce, and you asked me how was it, because you were also considering it at one point. And then I told him, like, I was disappointed, really. I barely, like, I thought it was going to be money. Exactly. I lost a lot of money, and I thought it was going to be way easier than it looked, because online they made it look like, oh, you start tomorrow and you will generate your first sales within a week, and then you can easily scale to 10K days. But they didn't explain anything about cash flow or ad spend or something like that. Like for me, that was all new, and I crashed like right into a wall. And I at that point I already had given up for a month on Ecommerce. And
because I think for you the main reason you were trying it out was because like you didn't want to be in the business, you want more like a model where you were running the business from like the vision perspective.
I wanted to be like the CEO, like they always visualize online, where you are managing a team and you just have to make smart decisions to push the team to further limits, and that's what I thought.
With an agency, that's quite difficult.
And back then I was also owning a Minecraft server, which might sound a bit childish, but honestly, like, if you know, you know, like that. It was literally digital products, 100% profit margin, organic. I was like, okay, e-commerce is quite the same, but it's with physical products. So I will have to do a bit of stock management and all that. So it looked like the perfect business model for me to make the next step. But yeah, like I said, I crashed into a wall, and I think we kind of both agreed on the same things, because you already tried to do ecom, and you also crashed into a wall.
So that was kind of our touch point where we could already share a lot and talk a lot, because obviously the position I was in when I met Bryan, I had to bring something on the table, right? Because you were already hustling for a few years. I was kind of new. I did some dropshipping in 2020, 2021, somewhere around that. Did some solid numbers, like, I'm not gonna lie, but for the age I was 18 back then. Like having a 10K profit month is actually insane if you think about it. Some things happened, I stopped, but I always had like this feeling like I would love to go back. And actually when I first met Bryan, like the DM I had no clue you were involved with e-commerce. It was exactly this period where you were having this course, and
it was just about networking and
But then we went to a bar, had some drinks.
I think we weren't drinking beer because you don't like beer. It was apple ice. And I think after 4 apple ice, we came to the conclusion, like, I just came back from a vacation also in Prague, and I remember you were a DJ, and I was like, I can probably let you play for 1 hour in the club where I was going to, because, I mean, it's really cool. I'm friends with the manager. So we're like, you know what? Let's plan. And this was in September when we first met. So in November, we said, like, oh, you know what? And we actually like planned it in that night when we first met. And we were like, you know what? Let's go to Prague for 1 week and let's try ecom together, you know? I did it before with someone else, and we were like, you know what, let's try one more time, you and me. Let's create a store in 1 week, let's launch the ads in 1 week, and let's get our first sale in that same week. And
so we did. We went to Prague.
In November, we went to Prague. We rented an apartment where the only thing we needed was a good table. And we worked, like, we literally, the first few days, like, we literally just were working on our websites. We were working like on getting an ad account. I remember messaging some guy on Telegram like, yo,
we got scammed.
Can I get an ad account? We got scammed. But in the end, we managed to get our ads live in the evening of the first day. And like what happened then was honestly impressive. Like,
so we launched, I would say, around maybe 5 p.m. We went for dinner because obviously we didn't know back then that you had to schedule for the next day, and we wanted to have some speed, right? So we were just like, let's throw one product online, 50 euro budget. It was Meta, and let's see where it brings. And like 1 hour later, we were eating a steak.
Exactly.
And that's when the first sale came in. And
indeed,
honestly, like that was a life-changing sale for both of us, I think.
I still remember the product, and it was a 2 XXL. And it was a PayPal sale, I remember. It was honestly, that was like the moment when we were like, damn, we launched our ads like literally an hour ago and we already got a double sale. And then I think the next days it started compounding. Like we went to 3 sales, 4 sales, and I think we even hit like 10 sales in one day in that week. And then everything collapsed because we got all our, you would say, like assets from Telegram or some random connections. So it was an ad account from there, BM from there, just on our personal page. Like it was so messy. And that's also the moment we were like, okay, we know how to do it in 1 week, really quick. Let's take it serious now.
Let's build something long term.
Exactly.
With proper structures, proper foundations. And honestly, that week it was just all about grind and having the proof of concept, right? We also went out quite a lot. But it's also important because we got to know each other. And obviously in the long run, like you need to know the person you're working with, right? That's so important.
Exactly.
But the connection was good, and just this first few sales, it was the sign from, okay, it's possible. Like if we do this on a scale of 100 times this, we can make a living of this.
Exactly.
So that's why we worked for a few months, right?
I mean, this was whole month of November. We tried to pull back the business because it literally crashed because of all the ad accounts and all that. And that's when we also started creating our own network. And then in December, we decided to open a second store because we were kind of losing momentum on our first store, which was a Denmark store. And we were like, okay, we met up again in December, actually again in Prague to create the second store. So I don't know what we had with Prague, but it was like, okay, if we need to make big steps in the business, we meet up together, we lock in and we make it happen. And then again, in 1 week, we managed to launch a big 5 store, which was Australia back then. And that store, I remember the second day, it spiked to like $600 a day. And then we went to 1K a day. And then it literally started like climbing up every day.
Yeah, we finally started to see some results for the work we put in for like, let's say, a month straight.
This was still 2024, I remember. And we still have to get started with 2025. So I think then, like, obviously, like in the whole December, we were scaling this Australian store. And in January, I still remember it because I was in Italy back then for New Year's. And you got in contact with someone who was like, at that moment, we already hit like, I think with that Australian store, like 100 orders in a day. I think we hit that record. No?
That's possible. Yeah, that's very possible. Like, I think it was indeed December or January, somewhere in between. But yeah, we had some crazy momentum for being such a rookies, right? And of course, we were grinding from morning till late. And we were really trying to build connections because that's something we noticed real quick. Like, you just need to be able to ask the questions to someone who already had the problem before, right? So he can help you. And honestly, that's the mentality we've always had. Like, you just need to have the right connections.
I also think like we just went into the flow. Like, we didn't do any paperwork. There was no like, you will do this and I will do this in the business. No contracts, we didn't even have a business together at that moment. We still were running on our individual company. And I think in January, that's when we first got in contact with like one of your friends who said like, guys, you are doing good numbers on your meta store. Why don't you add Google to it? Also to it? Yeah. And we scheduled a call without knowing even Google was like a big thing. And we jumped on the call, open-minded, everything.
Yeah, because I remember you said like, we can try it, but don't lose the main focus, which is meta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we went into the call with that spirit, and the guy, he was like telling us, look, you're going to pay, it was a revenue share back then, which was, I think like 3% or 3.5% of the Google revenue, you will pay to him. So we were like, honestly, this is a no-brainer deal because we're not... Like everything that he generates on Google, he will only get 3.5% from that. So we were like, you know what? Let's do it.
Try it. Yeah.
And I think we onboarded like a few days later without knowing how the whole Google infrastructure looked like, what are Google Merchant Centers, Google Ads. We didn't know anything about that. The guy just told us like, look, create a Google Merchant Center account, connect Google Ads, and send me access, and I will set up the campaigns. So we were like, okay, we set up the Google Merchant Center, set up the campaigns, all blindly, and we onboarded our first store in January 2025. Our first ever Google store, which was our meta store also from Australia, which we onboarded the first one, I remember.
Yeah, and it was actually the best because we had a lot of luck, I would say, with the merchant centers and stuff, because if you would have run into the problems we had afterwards, we would have never continued with it, right?
Exactly.
But just having it as an extra, and the deal was like a no-brainer because what do you have to lose, right? It was $50 per day per store that you were testing with. Like, you make that back with Meta, and even if you break even at the end of the day or end of the month, that's good, because that's also something we always had. Like, we don't need to make any big profits now. We're not here to get rich quick. No, we are here for, in the long run, build something that's an asset in which we can both work for the rest of our life or next few years, and build something like unseen in the ecom space. So that was a good mentality we had, because we never really were out on the profits, and it was just like the more we test, the more data we get, and the more we can do new tests and like put our budgets into things that are working. Yeah,
and it was not about cashing out or buying nice things. It was literally about building a business where the only goal we initially had was to never have to work for a boss. And we literally said like, if we can make from ecom what we would make from a 9-to-5, let's keep doing ecom, because if we can pay ourselves a minimum salary from ecom, we rather have that than work for a boss or something like that, something else. And that was literally the mindset we had. We just want to make enough to be able to pay ourselves a salary and live from ecom, because the main goal obviously was also location freedom, to be able to travel and be anywhere at any time, and also choose your own hours, even though choosing your own hours is a big lie, honestly, because the hours that you're doing is way more than a 9-to-5. And yeah, like,
and it was February, and it was like, Chinese New Year.
Yeah, and before everyone was talking about Chinese New Year, I remember talking to people and they were like, yeah, my coach told me to turn off my ads completely. And that's where we saw an opportunity. We were like, okay, instead of having the problem and turning off our ads, why don't we find a solution to the problem? It sounds very stupid and very simple, but you have to think about it. Like, we were doing, I don't know, like 5K days back then, which was huge for us. Obviously, our profit margins weren't that high back then because supplier agreements and so on.
But it's already life-changing money
exactly,
at that
it was
moment.
already very life-changing. But then we were like, okay, how are we going to solve the problem about Chinese New Year? So we were talking with ChatGPT, and we set up, in the end, we set up email flows to be able to catch the time that we would like lose on sending parcels, like, which was like, we had to cover, I think, a time span of about a month. So we were sending mails almost like every 2-3 days about like, hey, your package is in the last checkup. Hey, your package has some delay because of this reason. And boom, customer support was working over hours. I remember we were...
Yeah, it was wild.
Meanwhile, CPCs were literally on the floor. CPMs were super, super low. So it allowed us to scale very hard. And that's also the moment when Google started picking up. Like, because we literally onboarded on Google when CPCs were super low, CPMs were super low. So there was a lot of scaling potential. And the switch from Meta to Google, like it started balancing out, you know, we started getting a lot of sales from Meta, but Google also started picking up. And this was like the whole month of February was kind of like a fight between Meta and Google, and both were picking up very nicely. And I remember we even gave up our Denmark store back then to go all in on this Google Meta omni-channel store, you know. And then in March, like that was after Chinese New Year, I think we did really well. Then after Chinese New Year, we started fulfilling. Obviously, we were having some chargeback issues and all that, but it was all fine. I think like we didn't really see anything bad.
We took like this calculated risk of doing it through Chinese New Year, but this is a thing. Like when everyone goes left, you need to go right, and of course, some clients were less happy. But if you communicated well, like we did, then at the end, like it's good. And most people then need to start building the momentum in March, and we already had the momentum, so we were kind of way ahead. And as soon as things started to go back to normal, like we were really in the possibility to scale like crazy, but the cash flow was very intensive. I remember very hard. We really had to
inject
talk to the
like our personal money also. Like we injected that a lot from our own income. But the thing is, like we achieved the point where we were literally multiplying. All the money that we would invest was multiplying. So we were like, hey, you know what? Let's invest both X amount, and it paid off. Like we paid ourselves it back, I think, a week or two later. So it was all good. In March, we did crazy numbers. I remember like Google was literally picking up so well. It was overtaking Meta. And I think we did almost 500K in that month, or 700, I don't remember. But
and that felt super unrealistic at that point, right? Because we really came from like 500 per day to maybe 1K per day to maybe 3K per day to 5K per day. Like we were so slowly building that from March it went like skyrocket. And I remember for me, mentally, this was like a very weird period where you're making a shit ton of money, but nothing is on the bank accounts.
Exactly.
Because the cash flow is cash flowing, there's a lot of problems coming up, and we really turned into like more problem solvers. And
we started hiring also back then, I remember. I was always the person, like even when I had my agency back then, I was always scared of hiring because I was like, it's a huge dedication, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. But that's where you also came in. You were like, this stage we need to hire this person, now we need to hire more customer service, we need to hire a product lister, all of that. And that's also in March where once we started doing big numbers, we started hiring also. And
every month we had new employees. It was kind of wild. Like,
exactly.
It's also an increased risk, right? Because at the end of the week, even if they're freelancers, you're still the one responsible to put food on their table.
And it's funny, if you look at it, like every hire that we did back then is still working for us to this day.
I'm not sure if it's skill or it was luck, but we had this gut feeling, like we spoke always for every role with a lot of people, right? And then after like seeing 3 or 5 like final candidates, we hopped on a call. We saw them, and then it's both of us just like, okay, what's your gut feeling saying? And 9 times out of 10, we had the same person in mind. And exactly these persons are still the people who work for us up until this day. So, that's very nice.
And then I think that in March, Google literally started overtaking Meta, but we still didn't know anything about Google. We didn't know, like we had a misrepresentation back then, and I just clicked on appeal, and an hour later it was approved, and I was like, oh, this is easy, you know. So in March we decided also, like, if Google is really like a big thing, let's double down on it, you know. Let's create another Google store. So we created another Google store. We chose for Australia back then also, again, because we already had one successful Australian store. And that's when things started getting tough, because I remember I bought a domain, I created a Google Merchant Center just like I did with the old store. And then like I created a Google Merchant Center, misrepresentation, which was almost instantly after connecting the ads. And I tried to appeal, and it didn't get approved. I got suspended, I think, 2 times. And I was like, shit, it's not as easy anymore.
It's actually kind of tough.
It was really hard. And I remember also, like, we maybe forgot to tell, but that's also when we decided to do that. We also decided to pick up back our Denmark store, which we kind of left from a few months ago. And we decided to also create a GMC for that. And that one actually got approved.
Yeah, and like, it was so much luck involved in that period.
Exactly. But that also allowed us, like, in April to do our record month, which was like, it was crazy. It was like 1.1 million a month. And that was from 2 Google stores back then. But after that, like, we literally felt on top of the world. Like in April, we were like, damn, all we have to do is push Google stores and it will work out. We still had only 2 Google stores because one, like I explained, failed completely. It didn't get approved through the GMC. And that's also when we started wondering, like, okay, this Google whole infrastructure is actually a difficult thing to get into, you know. It's not as easy as we got. We just got lucky in the first time with our 2 stores.
But then is also, again, the time when we knew, like, okay, we only now need to find the right keys to the right doors to get more stores live, because we did it once, we can do it twice, but we still need to learn how.
Exactly. But there was a few doors that we had to break through, and once we had the key to all those doors, we knew the scaling potential would be, like, unlimited. We would be making a limited amount of money, and that's also what happened during that period. Like, the first door we had to unlock was the Google Merchant Center, obviously. Trying to get that approved.
That took quite long.
It took quite long. I mean, in April, we saw it. Like, we had our 2 stores, and we thought they will never get a misrep. They will never get this approved. What happens after our record month, I think a week later, both of our stores get suspended. We tried to appeal, doesn't work. Until we reached this last appeal that we could do. And that's also the moment when we were like, okay, if it doesn't get approved now, we are literally back to zero. And that's when we kind of like started looking for external help, because we were only relying on ourselves and our media buyer back then, who didn't really know much about Google Merchant Center. So we were kind of looking at external help. And I think the first thing we started working with agencies, started working with so-called insiders on Telegram again. Exactly. But that was in May, I remember. We were in Barcelona. We were literally outreaching to everyone that we possibly could know, any possible insider. And in May, we also went to Monaco F1, where we were literally here again.
Exactly. But you need to know, like, doing 1.1 million in April and then going to zero when the next month you don't have any stores running. Okay, we still had some meta stores as well that we were trying to get from the ground, right? But the bills coming in were way above our head in terms of compared to the revenues, right? So this was a period where we are like, damn, we actually got to start clutching. Because May, we did a nice trip to Barcelona, we did a nice trip to Monaco, but it was one of the worst months business-wise, and maybe even mentally, like, because if the business is hurting, you are hurting.
Exactly. And also, like, then in June, July, like, the only focus we had was unlocking the doors that were holding us back from going back to our track, you know? So this was June, July. We were literally outreaching everyone. We worked with all the agencies you can imagine, the so-called Google agencies, claiming 100% GMC approval, whatever. And we were onboarding stores with them, and months waiting, and nothing happened. Like, they were always finding dumb excuses, like to not be able to approve our stores, huge delays, and we were just stuck in this dream where someone else would solve our problem, you know? We just need to pay the correct amount and they will solve it for us. And this took like 2 months. And that's also the moment we were like, okay, let's stop wasting our time with Meta, because we were like so desperate with this Google thing that we even went back to Meta, because we were like, okay, like we need at least something to come in, you know, not only for the revenue, but also just for our mental, you know, it's important that there is still something coming in. And that's also when we picked up back our Meta store in the US, I remember. Did some good numbers there, but nothing crazy. But during this whole period, it was really dark. I remember it was a really dark period.
Very tough, very challenging.
Until we got invited to a mastermind. I remember it was in the Netherlands back then. And we got in touch with an insider. Like we were just texting already for a few days. We got a mastermind and we worked with so many agencies and insiders that we were just like sending our website to this insider in the hope that he would fix it. What happens 10 minutes later? GMC has been approved. We were like, whoa. And we were in the middle of the mastermind. Like the mastermind had nothing to do with the insider, but we were just like, when other people were talking, we were just on our laptop, like texting, outreaching. Like we were literally working 24/7. And yeah, like our GMC got approved with a so-called insider. And it's one guy that we found on true like connections and chatting with this person, connecting you with that person. And I think that's when we thought we unlocked the key actually. This was in August, I remember.
Yeah, I think like when we spoke to maybe 1,000 people about our problems on Google, there was maybe one person who was this insider. Or
exactly.
Like, who had a connection to this insider. And that's when we also noticed like there's so many people yapping a lot. Like it's crazy. Lot, everyone is saying they can solve your issue, no worries, full of confidence, but then they don't solve it. And that's also when we know like, okay, now we really just need to have these people in-house because we cannot keep depending on other people's agencies who are yapping, who are also out there for the money, who can... Whenever they don't like working with us anymore, they can just block us. Like
make fake promises and all that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's when we also realized like the only people who we can rely on is ourselves in the end. Yeah. Like we had to find this person, like literally reach out to thousands of people to find this one person. And in August, that allowed us to get, I think, 6 GMCs approved in 1 week. And that was honestly like for us, like we were like printing stores every day. Like we were just like opening new stores, different markets. And we were like, what happened in April, we're never gonna let it happen again. Like we cannot go back to zero, especially with all the high bills that we were having back then.
There's no way.
We can never go back to zero. And that's why we also learned about risk management, like having multiple stores on different companies in different countries, on different like local payment methods, credit card only. Like we literally had all the risk spreads. And this was the whole month of August and October.
Finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, right, in August, because really from May to August it was so much trenches, and we also started thinking like, will we ever get back from this, right? And this is the time where we mentioned so often to each other like, okay, it's you and me against the world, because it really felt like that, right? It was literally Bryan and me waking up, working, finding the solution. No one else was gonna come and help us or get our hand. And
no one was gonna like hand out the keys to us. We had to find the keys ourselves to open the doors. We were stuck at.
But we exactly knew what we needed, how we had to get to it, and then finally in August we had the stores being approved, right? I remember on my birthday I went out. It was the 15th.
I remember that. And I was like, a store that we wanted to get approved for so long. I messaged him on his birthday, Archer, I got a birthday gift for you. The store got approved. And we were like, it was just like every approval, we were so happy because we knew what it took to get that approved, you know?
And we also knew like getting it approved, like what's the full potential when once it's got approved, we know what to do, right?
It's literally an asset. Like we knew like every GMC that is approved was an asset to the business and would generate revenue.
And even then, when we thought that we opened all of the doors, it was not even as simple as we thought, because then we started looking at, okay, now we need to just upload products. And unfortunately, it also didn't work like that.
We were like, it's currently winter, let's upload winter products. So like, it was summer back then, so let's upload full summer products, like 1,000 and boom, 25 a day. And of course, like GMC started getting suspended. Stores didn't pick up at all. Because to remind you guys, like our 2 first GMCs, they were scaling from one day to another to 1K, 2K, and they literally exponentially started scaling.
Doubling.
And
crazy.
Now, like with the new GMCs, it wasn't the case. So we were like, okay, GMC is one door, but there is more doors to unlock to be able to scale back to where we were, the 40K days back then. And that's also like when we made a little switch. Like we created the inner circle also, I remember, because we were like, okay, we want to actually learn people about Meta because we still knew a lot of meta and about CRO, AOV, all that. We also want to get people on the Google game. And that's also in August, I think, or like, in August we created the Inner Circle.
And a fully free course as well. Like
exactly. It was in September, actually. No, it was September. Yeah.
We always had this idea, like, people are charging so much money for a stupid course. Mm-hmm. Screw them, let's just throw it online ourselves.
Exactly. And we literally dropped all the meta stuff because we were like, okay, we've done meta, we've made good money from it, and you know what, let's drop all the sauce to everyone. Back then it was closure sales, how to structure it, as we literally dropped everything online, also in the AB Inner Circle, free course, everything was online there. And we quickly started seeing like a growth in the Inner Circle. There was like another group of Dutch guys who decided to, we were like, okay, let's drop all the meta sauce online, but let's keep the Google sauce for ourselves because we don't want the market to be saturated with the closure sale dropshippers, you know? But then like they started also to cook, like Google courses started to being created. Like people started to understand, okay, Google's actually a nice thing. And we started to see around more videos and all that. So that's also when we were like, okay, let's actually make a mini Google course in the AB Inner Circle because people were asking us and people were getting really interested. And meanwhile, I was also like literally putting my head down and working on the feeds. Like what makes the difference between a bad product feed and a good product feed?
That was a very important change for us for Q3 and Q4 because honestly, we've mentioned it before, but we really thought, okay, the door is open, we know how to approve GMCs, we're back.
Exactly. But then, of course, the feed took some time, but once we cracked that code, which was in October, we also shared it to the AB Inner Circle, and we did, I think it was like 1 mil or 1.2, I think it was in that month in October. Yeah. And we had like, I think 10 GMCs live back then that were all slowly scaling. Obviously, we had like Europe GMCs, which were doing like 5K days. We had some US GMCs, some UK GMCs. They were all scaling, some more than the others. But the feed, we cracked that code. And the results we did in October, we were okay, we're back now. But we shouldn't stop here. We need more stores, more like feed optimization, and really diving even deeper into where can we make more money, where can we optimize more to make a little bit more profit here and there, percentages.
Really far. Like we went even to the Shopify Plus, like every single thing about CRO, we A/B tested, and I think that's a good skill we have. Like even though we are ahead of like a big part of people who would try to have Google stores, we keep on testing and we keep on doing new things, and that's always like how you keep be one step ahead of your competition. We're always the first with the innovations. You know, we're always the ones who are introducing new ideas or new concepts into the ecom space, and I think that's what differentiates us from the others. 100%. Where sometimes they ask us like, well, how do you scale a store so quick? Well, the reason is because we're the first one. For example, launching ski jackets. Like I tried to look for ski jackets in my competitors, and no one had them. So I had to literally go on like AliExpress or Temu, find the product and ask our supplier, give me pictures, and I uploaded them to our product feeds. And that's kind of like the way we're always innovating, and we're always the first. And that allowed us in November to do our all-time record months. Q4 was actually insane. Like
the Q4 goals were also crazy. Like we always set goals for every quarter. And the Q4 goes on, like they were scary. Like when we wrote them down.
There's this saying, right? If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Exactly.
And they were scary.
Like we wrote down in Q4, we want to have a 100K day. Never when we started with Ecom, we ever thought about 100K in a day.
Our first goal was maybe 500 in a day, then 1K, then 5K. And that's like the ladder you have with Ecom, right? It's unlimited. Like people keep on being ahead of you.
Exactly.
And the 100K day was on the vision board, for real?
Yeah, it was. And we were also like, if we hit this goal, we're going to do something crazy in December. Like we have to buy crazy watches or something, like do a crazy travel. We're going to do this and that. And in November, like during Black Friday, like we were like before the few weeks before, we were doing like 70K day, 75. But never, we thought like, okay, we're never going to hit 100K because that's literally, it takes way more than that.
Yeah.
And then Black Friday is there. You decided to go to Brussels with the media bar, actually, like rent an apartment, lock in there. I was in Mexico to spend summer with my girlfriend, but we were online 24/7. We planned out the whole Black Friday. Like literally the whole weekend from start to end, we planned out everything. Every step we should take, we planned it out, we wrote it down.
Mm-hmm. And Black Friday itself, it was like going to the cinema.
Exactly.
It was like watching the movie,
literally big
and let's see how it turns out.
In the sofa, I remember we were calling and just playing poker. We were just chatting, just doing nothing. Like we were not doing ecom. We were just watching the fruits from our own
into place.
Exactly. And I think like what happened on Black Friday was crazy. Like 161K in a day. That was way beyond our goal of 100K in a day. And the even crazier thing is, like, the whole weekend we did 100K days. Yeah. Like, on Friday we did 161. On Saturday we did 130. And then on Sunday we also did like 110 or 115, something like that.
And on Monday it was also even close. But we didn't hit it. But still, it was way beyond expectations. And that's what you can expect when you plan for months straight, right? When you keep on planning, when you keep on trying to get the team aligned and stuff, that's the luck we had. Like, of course, we created the luck ourselves, but we really had everything in place, and still some things went wrong, right? Now we watch back at it and we were like, okay, if we would have done this and this,
we could have hit 200. Yeah, like there were so many mistakes that we made in Black Friday that we were like, okay, like we learned so much from Black Friday because it was also our first ever Black Friday. Because the year before we were like, all our stores got like
suspended because of the
ad account blocks and the problems with Meta. So this was our first official Black Friday, and it was almost like, it was very stressful because we didn't know what to expect. But honestly, we did really well. We learned a lot, and we applied the changes in December. And in December, again, we did crazy numbers. Like we did 1.5 million a month. And that's where we were like, okay, the new standards is 1 million months. We cannot do anything below that because it's just like, it has become so consistent. And once you reach, like I've always compared Ecom to a ladder. Like you're always climbing up and you can never look down because like
it's scary.
You're reaching new levels, and now like the standard is 1 million months, and for next like this year 2026 we want to hit even crazier goals, and we know what it would take to reach that. But also like we don't only think about ourselves, like we also we helped a lot of people around us, friends and all that. Like we saw people crash with Meta and we were like picking them up, teaching them Google, and that's also why we decided to work harder on the inner circle. And
that's what we actually did. First thing in 2026, we Bryan came back from Mexico. We got our vision aligned again. We got our new goals for this year, and this is where we actually we just took like 4 days out of our calendar in the first 7 days of January to like record the full course, and that's the goal, right? We want to have the best Google dropshipping course out there, and it's
like
gonna be
all the problems that we ever had. We explained it in the course, how to get started, the connections we have for certain problems. Literally, we share everything because we see like everyone's talking about Meta and scaling quickly, but scaling quickly also has a lot of disadvantages, and that's the good thing with Google. Like you can scale slow. And that's good for your payment processors.
You have an asset.
Exactly. Like we repeated again, it's an asset. And that's why we decided to make the #1 Google branded dropshipping course, which is actually releasing this week. But like we're working on so many projects. Like Ecom is and will always be our main business, but we decided to also expand because that's also where our CEO mindsets come in place, where we cannot just rely, and that's again risk management, where we cannot rely on one business,
because Ecom is always going to go up and down. Even when you don't like it or when you don't want it, you will always have a lot of fluctuation, right?
And our expenses are that high these days that we just need multiple businesses to be able to fund this. We like to travel, we like to eat well, we like to, like everything we dreamed of is now a reality, but we know also how it can go down. And I think that's really good that we learned that really quick. That everything can fall down in one day to another.
Exactly, because if I look at when we came to Monaco in May, after our best month back then in April, like if I look back at it, it was such a financially stupid decision, but it's exactly this position that made us feel very, very uncomfortable and really pushed us to keep grinding for the next few months to be able to have a life like that and to be able to have a business that keeps on printing in the future, right?
And we really got humbled. Like when we were in Monaco, we were on top of the world, and then like we really got humbled really badly. And we're literally sitting at the same spot where we were like a few months ago in May during the F1 in Monaco. But I think now we also know from ourselves, like, we have to keep our feet on the ground and just work. And of course you can enjoy, buy nice things and all that, but always thinking of the future and know that everything can crash from one day to another.
Exactly.
And you need multiple assets, and that's also what we're working on. 2026, that's one of our goals, to invest, to do all those things that we never imagined we could even reach in a year. Because we did all this in a year. Like 2025 was a long year if you look at it. We did so much. Every month we did something different.
Yeah, indeed, like it's all part of the risk assessment now, and building multiple companies will be our main goal of 2026, but at the same time we have our team, so the Ecom will also keep on running, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we hired the COO in August as well. That's something we forgot to mention.
Actually, yeah, that was also a big game changer, because I think we watched a video of some other YouTuber or read a book, and we're like, it's good that you're very involved into the business, but it's also important to share your knowledge with a person who will then like
do
operate
the day-to-day.
It, you know?
Yep.
And the CEO really does well. We actually had a meeting with him to kind of align for 2026. What are the expectations? Because we really hired him blindly without setting KPIs or anything like that. And honestly, he's been improving a lot. Like our delivery times went from, I think it was 15 or 16 days to 9 days delivery time, which is really good from a dropshipping perspective.
Exactly. And also like just managing the team, right? Because you can only have so much calls in a day, and you still need to build new stores, and you still need to do the feed optimization, and you still need to do the product research, and there's so many things. And we grew in 2025 from actually 2 people who were working for us to like, what is it now, 2025, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this COO really stepped in.
And it allows us also to focus on the needle moving task. And I didn't even know about this word before, like needle moving task. But once I realized, like, indeed, like, we shouldn't be focusing on chatting to the supplier about missing packages or transit times or all that. We should be focusing on what's moving the business, and that's GMCs.
Yep,
and
the
that's
bigger picture.
Exactly, and that's what we're doing now. Like, the only thing Archer and I are focusing on, obviously we're still involved in the back end, but also on just creating GMCs, feed optimizations, A/B tests, and innovating. And that's our main task to this day. And if you compare where we are now to where we were a year ago we were really in the business, and now we're more like out of the business, and that's where we actually wanted to be in the first place.
Like, our business has changed a lot, but as ourselves as a person as well, right? Where we also thought, like, this is obviously always, when you first start making some money, feel on top of the world, you want to spend some money. And when you have the risk of losing it all, that's when you notice, like, okay, it's not cool to pop so much bottles. It's not cool to spend a lot on clothing if you cannot, like, obviously we could afford it, but it was so financially not smart. Not responsible.
Yeah, no.
So we really are more humble than ever as well.
Exactly.
And that's maybe the best thing where we grew in as a person. Like, we just know what we want, what it takes, what we need to do, and what we should not do. That's like
that's the most important thing. Yeah, no, like 2025 was really crazy. 2026 started really well, and we should keep this momentum and this mindset going for whole 2026. And I think if we're gonna record the same video but for 2026, I hope that we reach even crazier goals, because the goals we wrote down for 2026 are absolutely insane if we manage to reach them.
As hell.
But we will reach them no matter what. And I think that was about it for 2025. Like, it was a crazy year, a lots of ups, a lots of downs, and now we're stronger than ever to crush 2026.
A lot of unexpected turns, to be honest. Like, if we now you've heard the whole story, right? Could you imagine 1 year and 2 months ago we were meeting each other for the first time?
Yeah, and now we're
barely knew who the other guy was, and now we're like one of the strongest team as business partners out there. Or maybe that's not true, but like we're very strong together. I know what Bryan's good at, Bryan knows what my skills are, and we really just we don't even, like you mentioned, we don't say like this is your task, this is your task. No, it's more like you're naturally better in this part of the business, so you feel like you're gonna do that part, right? Bryan is very strong with making the website and stuff. Like, obviously that was in the beginning mainly a very big part of your day-to-days. Like, optimizing.
The more technical stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, like that's also the message we want to transmit. Like, it's good to be together in a business, you know, like you can do everything alone, but I feel like with two, you're always stronger and you will get things moving way quicker. And but you have to also keep in mind, like you have to be aligned on the same level, you know.
And in the bad days, it's so good to have someone who is down there with you, right? Because I think it would be very lonely. Me personally, I think I couldn't do it alone, honestly. But also, like, you need to find someone good, right? Because there are so many people out there who want to just backstab you, right?
Money,
like money and walk
quick.
Away.
Exactly. We were both aligned on the fact that we're looking at it in the long term. We want to build a sustainable business, and that's where we came to now, and that's what we have. And we should keep on working on building more stable businesses. And that's what we're doing day to day now. And also working on ourselves, obviously, like,
learning every day.
2026, you want to live more healthy, obviously go more to the gym, read more books and all that, because 2025 we worked a lot. We maybe forgot sometimes to take care of ourselves also. That's also for 2026. But yeah, like I actually enjoyed this little talk. Everyone always asks us, how did you guys meet? What's your story? Well,
here's
there
the story.
you go. Here's the story. I hope you guys learned something from it. Get some key points out of it, implement it for yourself. But like you said, like everyone's journey is personal. Like this is our journey and you have to create your own. That's the message I want to transmit.
Yeah, and keep on dreaming big, because if you cannot dream big, it will never happen.
Exactly. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, bro.